So real quickly, we're timing a 2015 Gen 2 Coyote Mustang. A lot of people make this mistake, and I just wanted to clarify. When you take this thing apart, the manual tells you to put the right side or passenger side, I know it's backwards, but it's if you're in the perspective of being in the car, at about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock from your perspective, or if you're looking at it on the down the head, it's about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So here, remove your chain, then it tells you to rotate from the crank, the dial tells you to rotate it to 5 o'clock, and then that puts I've already done it, but it puts the left hash right about here, about 3 o'clock, and then remove this chain. So it leaves the keyway at 5 o'clock. And when you're reassembling, you want to start again with this side. Your keyway again is going to be right where you left it. When you put your phaser back on, is going to be at about 3 o'clock, roughly, with this line here, maybe a little bit above 2 to 3 o'clock. And this will still be at 5. So your timing mark will actually be about 11 o'clock, 11:30. It'll be about right here. And again, I've already done this, but so match your mating mark up with your timing mark that's on the sprocket. That'll be about here. Match your other colored link here, about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and continue out your install with your guides and your tensioner. Release the pressure on the tensioner. This is the part that everyone misses. Apparently in the manual it tells you 1 full revolution. Well, it doesn't really tell the whole story, because you're at 5 o'clock and it says to go 1 revolution but stop at 12. What really needs to happen is you're at 5 o'clock, this thing needs to be spun back to 12 and then go another full revolution back to top dead center. So it's really about 1 3/4 of a turn. And the reason for that is the camshaft spins at half the speed as the crankshaft. So if we start at 5 and we go 1 revolution back to 5, it's going to be wrong. If we go to 12 o'clock, it's going to be wrong, because the cam timing is going to be out by about 200 degrees. You know, you're going to be way off. So the manual, on the Ford manual, it's pretty vague, but just to clear that up, you're going to start at 5 o'clock, match your timing mark here, match your timing mark here, like it says, but you're going to want to start at 5, go to 12 o'clock, and then go another full turn to 12 o'clock. And then you can put this side on, and you know it's right, because you can look and see your left hash is about 12 o'clock, you know, in line with the head, and that's correct. And then your underside, it's kind of hard to see, but it's down here. You'll see your mating mark down here. Another way that I like to do it, which some people don't like to do it this way because it's really easy to mess up. To me, it's easier. There is a balance point. It depends on the camshaft. If you have an aftermarket camshaft, this makes it a little harder. But if you can get it to where, you know, if you stop here, and the procedure, it tells you to stop this here. If you stop here, and you look over to this side, and your left hash is here, if you can get this, there's a balance point where these cams will not spin one way or spin the other way. There's a balance point to be had, and it's kind of tricky to find, but once you do enough of them, it makes it a little easier. So if you can get it to balance on that point, which is right around here, then you can take that chain off without having to do the whole rotation of the crank thing. So your crank will end up here. You can pull this chain off, and as long as these cams don't fly one way or fly the other way off of the balance point, you can go ahead and reassemble it this way, because all you're doing is the natural resting point for these versus the 11 to 14 is about right here at 3 o'clock. That's why they want you to do it that way, because there's no danger of the cam springing one way or the other. Again, you can do it either way. I like to do it this other way because it saves time. So if you can get it to not fly off the handle and balance on that point, you know, you can do that. You can put your mating mark here. You can time it just like an 11 to 14 pretty much, and then your 2 mating marks will be down there. You know, and then continue on with this side. This side is the same, 11 to 14 or 15 to 17, but just 2 different ways of doing it. So if you notice, I've spun it now 1 3/4 turns or whatever that is. So from 5 o'clock back to 12, and then another 360 back to 12 again. And if you notice, we're right back where we started when we took it apart. So again, if you can get it to balance and not spin, then you don't have to do that whole 12 o'clock, take this one off, rotate the crank to 5, take this one off, put it back together, spin it a bunch of times. You don't have to do all that. If you can get it to balance here, then that works just fine. So just wanted to clear that up. There's not a lot of real clear videos on this or instructions on how to do this, and thanks to Greg Smith, we're putting this engine back together for him. And anyway, just want to make a real quick video explaining that. If you have any questions, drop a comment.